Hi everybody, welcome to 1 + 1 is 3. I'm Kirsten and today I'm going to be talking about breastfeeding. So this week is World Breastfeeding Week, so I thought I would talk about my breastfeeding journey or my 2 breastfeeding stories so far. So with my first child, I was determined to breastfeed. I thought it was going to be easy. Nobody ever told me otherwise. I started breastfeeding from a few moments after he was born. Stayed in the hospital for 2 or 3 days so that the midwives could make sure that we'd got breastfeeding established. I did ask for a lot of help from them, although I didn't really feel like they knew what they were talking about necessarily. I didn't feel confident that I was getting latching right, but we went home anyway and I persevered. What I should have said at the beginning was that my first child was actually born with a slight tongue tie, they said, but they did say that it shouldn't cause any problems. And this was 5 years ago now, so I think that they have got a lot better on diagnosing and treating tongue tie. But it was something that I did keep mentioning to the community midwife who visited me at home and the health visitors who were at the clinics where we went to get baby weighed. But they all had a look and said that they didn't think that that was a problem. But we did have really big problems feeding. I was finding it excruciatingly painful. I had really bad cracked nipples. In fact, one of them I had to stop feeding off, so we went to one-sided feeding eventually. And I just felt that I didn't really get the support that I really needed at that time. I was a first-time mum, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought it was supposed to be easy. Everybody was telling me the tongue tie wasn't an issue, and yet I was in so much pain with cracked, bleeding nipples. I tried for 3 months to keep going. Every time I put my baby to the breast, it was so painful, my toes would curl and I would end up in tears. So in the end, I switched to formula, although I didn't really want to, and I felt a bit of a failure, to be honest. The second time around, when they were doing the checks on baby, I made them check and double check for tongue tie, and thankfully there wasn't one. I tried again to breastfeed and eventually we got it, although it did take us a good 3 weeks to get the hang of things. But this time I had one small piece of advice, which was that it's not only you that's learning to breastfeed, it's the baby that's learning to breastfeed too, and you need to teach them. So that helped me look at things differently. I wasn't just putting all the pressure on myself, and I was giving my baby a bit more of a break than I would myself. So as I said, for 3 weeks it was difficult. It took us that long to work out what we were both doing, but after 3 weeks we got the hang of it, and thankfully we had a successful breastfeeding journey. Unfortunately, it only lasted 6 months because I had to go into hospital for an operation. And this would have meant trying to get a private room, or trying to get my husband to bring the baby in every time he wanted feeding, or trying to express and have the milk taken immediately to my baby. And that would have all just been too stressful, I think, too complicated. And so we decided to wean from breast to bottle at 6 months. I had felt in any case that my supply was dwindling a little bit, and I think that's mainly due to the fact that my baby had some teeth at that point and had bitten me a couple of times, and I think it was just making me quite scared. Every time I was putting baby to breast, I was feeling apprehensive and maybe holding back a little bit, and I think that perhaps may have been why my supply was lessening a little bit. So that all happened around the same time, but it meant that I managed to breastfeed my second baby for double the amount of time that I managed to breastfeed my first. Looking back on it, it doesn't really seem like 3 months and 6 months was a very long time to breastfeed, and I wish that I'd been able to do it longer both times. But a lot of the medical advice out there says that 6 months as a minimum is really good, so I'm glad I was more successful the second time around. So the lessons I would take from my breastfeeding journey is to make sure that your baby doesn't have tongue tie if you've got problems, and probably to keep speaking to somebody about it until they take notice and listen to you and do something about it. I would also say if you're having problems, then keep asking for help, keep trying to find help. I know there are such things as breastfeeding cafes out there where you can go and be among a whole group of other women who are breastfeeding and experts, health professionals who will give you advice and just help you on your journey. I believe training on these kind of things has got better in the last few years, so hopefully the support is already there a bit more than it was for me the first time around. But at the end of the day, us mummies just do the best we can, and if that means switching to formula, then that's what you've got to do. I hope you liked this video. Thanks very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss out on any of my other videos, then click subscribe. Thanks, bye.